The Los Angeles Chargers finished 2017 on a red-hot streak, barely missing the playoffs. The hope and expectation is that the start of the 2018 season will be much more like the finish of last year. What should we expect from the Bolts this upcoming season? We'll dive into that and more as we preview the 2018 Los Angeles Chargers. Let's take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the season as we go into our 4-minute offense. The Los Angeles Chargers finished the season strong, coming up just one game short of the playoffs last season. First-year head coach Anthony Lynn did a fantastic job in rallying the troops as they overcame an 0-4 start to the season. It seems as like for the Chargers, it's either one or the other. Start slow and finish strong, or start strong and stumble into the playoffs. The hope is that this year, with the team that they've assembled and a bit more stability in place than last year when they made the move to Los Angeles, it will yield better and much more consistent results for the Bolts. The Chargers have more than enough offense and defense to make it work in their favor this season. Second-year head coach Anthony Lynn was able to show those around the league what many within the league already knew. He's an outstanding coach. There's a fine line between coach, disciplinarian, strategist, and also motivator, and Anthony Lynn was able to showcase all of those traits last year for the Chargers as he navigated them through a turbulent start to the season and finishing strong throughout the rest of the way. Even though they started 0-4, the sentiment nationally was that this wasn't a bad football team, just a team that had a few bad breaks early on, especially in the special teams department. Normally, you would see teams fold after a winless first month of the season, but it just speaks to the type of coach Anthony Lynn is and how much his players believe and buy into his message. The Charger organization definitely got it right with this hire. Every year it's the same story for the Chargers. They seem to be snake bitten when it comes to injuries to key players before the season even begins. This year they've already lost 3 significant pieces to their squad in cornerback Jason Verrett, tight end Hunter Henry, and defensive back Jalen Watkins, who came over from the Philadelphia Eagles. All guys are out for the season. They also received a scare as well as starting cornerback Casey Hayward injured a hamstring in practice that may keep him out for at least the first game of the year. I don't know what they could possibly do to prevent this, as injuries are freak occurrences in my opinion. I will say this though, this is the one consistent thing that seems to happen to the Cardinals in their offseason, and if any team is able to overcome these type of obstacles, it would be the Chargers. The offensive line has been a work in progress for Los Angeles over the last couple of seasons, and this year we'll get to see the fruits of that labor finally come together for the Bolts. In the offseason, they signed Pro Bowl center Mike Pouncey from the Miami Dolphins, and they get both of their 2017 NFL draft picks in offensive lineman Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp back healthy and in the fold, ready to solidify the interior of that offensive line. That's a very strong guard center guard combination to go along with left tackle Russell Okung, who was stellar last season, and right tackle Joe Barksdale, who played well last year after missing 5 games with an injury. And quietly, they've built up quite a bit of depth across the board as well. What was once a big time weakness for the Chargers has now turned into a huge strength for them on the offensive line. A reason for optimism for Los Angeles will be that they have some pretty good young cornerstone players. These are franchise-changing type players in wide receiver Keenan Allen, running back Melvin Gordon, defensive end Joey Bosa, and edge rusher Melvin Ingram. They are legit difference makers that give the Chargers a great chance of being successful each and every week. And you can't forget about the cornerstone guy in quarterback Phillip Rivers. I think he's a surefire Hall of Famer. You have to love his competitiveness that he brings each and every week and how consistent he is as a quarterback. To me, he's this generation's Dan Marino and is equally, if not more important than the aforementioned cornerstone players to this team's success. The Chargers defense definitely gives you a reason for optimism. They are loaded with pressure players like Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, who combined for 23 sacks last season. They also have a strong set of linebackers as well with Denzel Perriman, Kyle Emanuel, Jatavius Brown, and rookie Uchenna Nwosu out of USC, and even the linebacker safety hybrid in Kaiser White, the rookie out of West Virginia. The secondary has its fair share of stalwarts as well with Casey Howard, second-year player Desmond King, and rookie Derwin James, who looks like he could be a potential cornerstone player, and fellow safety Jaleel Adai. This was a team that finished 3rd against the pass last season and tied for 6th in interceptions and 5th in sacks. I think they'll be good once again in 2018. A cause for concern would be the run defense. This is where they'll have to make significant strides this year if they want to be a truly great defense. The Chargers finished 31st last year against the run, giving up over 130 yards a game. The hope is that Brandon Mebane, Damian Square, Corey Liuget, once he returns from suspension, can maintain the line of scrimmage so that those linebackers that they have a clear path to make plays. Building depth along the way will be key for them as well this season. I would also look at the secondary depth as a bit of a concern. Like I mentioned earlier, they will be without the services of starting corner Jason Verrett for the season, as well as combo defender Jalen Watkins, who was brought in free agency to be a corner safety hybrid for this defense. Also, Casey Hayward may miss at least a game or two to start the year. So that pushes guys like Desmond King, Craig Mager, Trevor Williams up the depth chart a bit and makes him a little bit thin on the perimeter. Maybe one of the undrafted rookie free agents like Brandon Faison of Virginia Tech or Tony Brown of Alabama can help fill that void on the outside so they are not stressed in coverage. Now here are some quick takes for the Chargers as the summer rolls along. Look for wide receiver Mike Williams and defensive back Desmond King to be breakout stars this year for Los Angeles. Williams has already shined a lot in preseason, and if he continues this upward trend in the regular season, it could really open up the Chargers offense. King played extremely well last year, starting 4 games, and will have an even bigger role within his defense this year, and he should thrive. Camp surprises will be Forrest Lamp and undrafted free agent Pat Afriyie. Lamp was drafted to be the cornerstone player along the offensive line and is starting to get some live action now in camp. Afriyie was one of my favorite defenders coming out of the FCS in the 2018 draft and has already turned some heads with his play so far in training camp. Rookie standouts will be Justin Jackson and Derwin James. Jackson has been nursing a hamstring injury, which has opened the door for fellow rookie Detrez Newsome out of Western Carolina to get some shine. But once he returns, look for him to be a big-time factor on special teams. And Derwin James has a chance to be another cornerstone player for the Chargers on the defensive side of the ball. His ability to play virtually anywhere in the secondary is what makes him special. And from a fantasy football perspective, I like Keenan Allen as a primary target. He's one of the more fluid and consistent receivers in the league and brings good 3rd to 4th round value in your fantasy drafts. The road to the Super Bowl for the Los Angeles Chargers goes as follows. They can't afford an injury to any of their cornerstone players. I know I've said the word cornerstone players like a million times in this video, but that's how critical they are to any football team, especially a team like the Chargers that seem to have an injury curse on them. The run defense has to get to at least top 15. Finishing 31st again versus the run is unacceptable, and it shouldn't happen on a team with this amount of talent. Again, they don't have to be the best, but they can't be next to last once again this year. And finally, if the offensive line and the running game start to click and they're able to play consistent for the entire season, this team could definitely be special. Last year, the Chargers only averaged 99 yards rushing a game, which was 24th in the league. If they can accomplish these 3 things, they shouldn't have a problem representing the AFC in Atlanta. I have the Chargers finishing 3rd in the AFC West. They went 9-7 last year, and I think they'll hover around that number once again. For me, I still have some questions about the depth along the defensive interior and in the secondary. Both should improve as the season goes on. I believe there are about 3 to 4 teams that will be fighting for that final wild card spot in the AFC, and the Chargers are definitely one of them. So that's it for our 2018 NFL season team preview. Be sure to follow me on all of our social media accounts. Also check out and subscribe on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast, and to find other NFL team previews for our 2018 NFL season kickoff, visit the YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan and click that subscribe button.